authority. The mark of the beast must have to do with a change of the Sabbath. It must have to do with some kind of false or substitute or counterfeit worship. Since the final issue revolves around worship, what earthly religious power claims that it has authority to change God's law? Is there an earthly religious power today that claims that it has the authority to change God's law? Is there a power? There are historical statements, scores of them, dating back hundreds of years, in which the Roman Church declares that it has the authority to change God's law. Here is only one sample that is a recent statement that comes from the St. Catherine's Rectory in northern Michigan in May of 1995. I've chosen this one because it's so recent, and then I'll give you a number that are a little older. This statement says this: perhaps, and this is our dear Roman Catholic priest writing, and he says, perhaps the boldest thing, the most revolutionary change, and he's explaining how the Sabbath was changed from Saturday to Sunday. And he says, perhaps the boldest thing, the most revolutionary change the church ever did happened in the 1st century. The holy day, the Sabbath, and this is what the priest says, was changed from Saturday to Sunday. Not from any directions noted in Scripture, but from the church's sense of its own power. People, now this is what the priest says, who think that the Scripture should be the sole authority, should logically become Seventh-day Adventists and keep Saturday holy. Now that's from St. Catherine's Catholic Church, Sentinel, May 21, 1995, parish paper. And his logic is impeccable. He said, if you accept that the power of the church is above the Bible, then you should keep Sunday. If you accept that the Bible is supreme, then you should keep Saturday and logically become a Seventh-day Adventist. I think that's pretty good reasoning, don't you? Certainly is good reasoning, friends. Because look, if you take the Bible and the Bible only, and the issue is creation, and the Sabbath is a symbol of creation, then logically one should follow that through and become a Sabbath worshiper. Does the Pope of Rome claim that he has the authority to change God's law? Here is from the heart of the Vatican itself, in the Latin language, from Decreto de Translit Episcop Cap, it says, and I quote this Catholic source, the Pope has the power to change times, to abrogate laws, and to dispense with all things, even the precepts of Christ. So the idea is that it is possible that the Church teaches, the Catholic Church teaches, that God gave the authority to the Pope to change the law. And that is clearly stated. Now, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, it is not our purpose in any way to condemn any church or any individual. I should tell you this. I was brought up in a lovely Roman Catholic home. I was educated by the priests and the nuns. I memorized the Mass in Latin as a little boy and grew up in that whole environment. When I was 17 years old, there was something missing in my life, and I wasn't sure what it was. And I began to study the Bible. My dad helped me a lot and directed me to passages of Scripture. And I looked into the book of Revelation, and I began studying. And I had to wrestle with these texts. Wrestle with Revelation 14, the call to worship the Creator. Wrestle with the whole issue of true worship as opposed to false worship. I had to ask myself the question deep in my soul. I was preparing to go to college, and I said, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? Where is God leading me? I had thought at one period of time of the possibility of becoming a priest, and I wrestled with these issues. They were wrenching to me because this was my life. And I wrestled. There's worship the Creator on this hand. There is accepting a substitute on this hand. There's the traditions of men on this hand. There's the law of God on this hand. And I said, Lord, what do you want me to do? I know for some of you that this is really a big struggle. And I totally understand it. I identify with you. I know where you're coming from. But tonight, I'd like to ask you to just put your emotions aside. Because I know that when I heard messages like this the first time, the first thing that happened in me was this emotional barrier rose, and I said, this couldn't be true. Tonight, could you just put your emotions aside? Just put them on a shelf and say to yourself, what does the biblical text teach? What does God teach in His Word? God, maybe you've been tapping me on the shoulder. God, maybe I'm not here to these meetings by accident. God, maybe you led me. What are the issues in the final conflict? Worshipping the Creator or worshipping the beast? What are the issues? The issues revolve around true and false worship, the genuine and the counterfeit. Satan has attacked God's seal, the Sabbath, the basis of all worship. Revelation chapter 13 outlines the identifying characteristics of the beast.